May 10th, on the spot, Norman Graham, Stephen Thompson. Last segment, we're going to talk about the economy.
The economy.
Jobs.
Hey, stimulus.
Lack thereof.
Hey, it is an amazing time. This is the big question. What do we do about an economy that has stagnated? How do we stimulate?
This could be Obama's downfall.
Could be. Could be.
This is what's keeping his numbers from going through the roof.
Well, you see a little creep. Mm-hmm. The last numbers came in. We're not going to say the exact. We won't be caught. But there was jobs added.
About 200,000.
Right. They said something anywhere about 9% unemployment. Mm-hmm.
9%, yes.
So
up from 8.8.
Up from 8. So the issue is, how do we create these jobs? What's going on? As the president, there's a problem because some people who, now economics is what used to be called a dismal science, but now people are looking at it because it's everybody's science. That's what I tell people. Now, I was always questioned when I got a degree in it, but it is very difficult because the president of the United States really doesn't control the economy.
And don't create many jobs.
Doesn't create many jobs. He has the power to affect context. So a little economics lesson without getting too crazy is that he, in fiscal policy and which is the government's a way to stimulate the economy and monetary policy in the sense of the Fed, who can he really affect those things? So can you do that quickly? There was an issue when he made that, after our financial crisis. Well, do you put the stimulus into the country? TARP funds, things like that. Where did that go and all this stuff like that?
General Motors.
General Motors. But you know what? General Motors is back.
Are they?
Chrysler's back. In the idea that they didn't go under. So the question becomes, in the process, it takes a little time to kick in. Will we see a little more growth by the end of the year?
Well, it took President Bush, 8 years to mess up the economy. And while they want credit, this is very important, while they want credit for Bush and bin Laden getting caught, they do not want credit for the economy.
No.
They want to give that over and rewrite history.
Well, you can't rewrite.
Say that's Obama's fault that we were losing 700,000 jobs.
President Clinton, when he handed over, he had a surplus.
Yes.
A
$2
government.
trillion.
Yeah. So during George Bush's people call it a reign. Some people call it, depending on what you want to say. But the issue becomes, in this economy, what are we going to do? We've got to find ways with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, to increase credit so that can create the flow of monies. And there is surveys now saying that CEOs are looking to hire. Now, the question is, what kind of jobs? Now, this is the issue that they're talking about. They call it the barbell economy. What is that? That means at the top, like a barbell, there are people making a lot of money.
Yes, the rich get
people who rich get richer. Those who are employed in knowledge economies, they have good salaries. In the middle of the barbell, it's held out. The middle class, they're losing grip. What is the middle class doing? They don't have anything to hold on to. Their jobs are going overseas. There's an attack on unions, which
the right is trying to do that attack on unions and do away with the middle class.
Middle class working, working folks. The bottom is getting larger. So what do we do? That's the ultimate question. But we're going to have a show about those solutions.
Recall.
Recall what?
Recall our elected officials.
Recall our, that's it. Recall. We should have a.
That's what Wisconsin is doing.
Parliamentary type government where you just like, hey, we're going to recall. No, we're going to recall them out, get them out. Well, a lot of people are very upset. One of the things that comes up is that maybe it's always a reaction, but American people have to really get involved in their government. They have to be civilly involved in the thing that affects them.
Well, the economy affects them.
Of course. So now they're feeling it.
Yes. So along with them feeling it, guess what? Guess what happens with this recall? See, a recall will help the economy because it will change where the right is going.
This is true.
Once they see Wisconsin is set to recall several state senators.
Good point.
they have the numbers to do it. The Republicans also trying to recall about 3 Democrat signatures, but they still have the numbers to take over the state Senate in Wisconsin. I'm going to tell you why this is important to our economy. Because if they do, that changes the far right, the Christies, Scott Walker, these the governors that are running with the Koch brothers and various other billionaire corporate people. They're spending a great deal of money to win these elections, to get these people, like these Tea Party people who came in office with no political background, just a lot of money. You got senators in Wisconsin, state senators, who are having close to $1 million to run for a seat. Because it's an interest.
Interest,
and it's assault
politics
on the middle class.
So the idea of this assault on the middle class on different levels. So you have that, which is a national assault. You have a global assault. So we're back to the global, which is just purely because across the globe, there's a competition for jobs and talent. So if we ship off these jobs off to another place, American people can't compete. And that looks in, it connects to everything, the education system. So we're going to have to continue to talk about jobs.
I'm going to ask you a question. What shape would we be in if we didn't have the Bush tax cut?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. We forego revenue. And they looked at the idea that huge amounts of money, people are talking anything from 20 to 25 trillion dollars that would have come in to the pot. Maybe those numbers are extravagant. Who knows? But they're money that we didn't get. And the dirty little secret in politics is we're never going to talk about raising taxes. Well, the question becomes for American people, where's the money going to come from?
If you cut taxes, you cut revenue.
Of course. So if you continue to deal with services, we're looking at deficits. California, Governor Jerry Brown has an amazing deficit. Governor Schwarzenegger, when he left, the Terminator did the termination. He terminated California. Where do you balance the budget? They're talking about taking government workers and saying, oh, only work from Monday to Thursday. Friday you got off and you don't get paid.
No.
Because we can't balance the budget.
It's happening
all over. So we got
but we're going to keep giving the rich to the
exactly. So what do we do to close the gap?
New Jersey.
Right. Governor Christie.
Of course, he did.
Governor Christie. Those New Jerseyans are sitting back going, we voted him in, but we didn't realize that our services will be cut. They got amazing property taxes down here. So what do you do when no one's picking up your garbage?
Well, let me tell you something. I got one of my friends, Nicky Toronto. Did I work with?
Okay. He's
far right.
He's far right.
Right.
Good. Okay.
Far right.
Good conversation during that job.
What? Yes, but guess what, Nick? Nick has a problem.
What? What is he saying?
He said, stay away from my union because I need that because I need to keep my job.
Right.
Nick doesn't want anything to affect his job with these Tea Parties. And he's one of these, he's a Tea Party member. But everything that affects him, that affects normal people, but they keep voting for these people. Well, this is where I'm going with it.
Okay.
They keep voting against their self-interest.
Right.
Not realizing that the Scott Walkers, the Chris Christies, after you vote them in, they take from you and give to their rich friends.
Well, you know what? There's always been a historical issue that usually a large group of working class or some middle class people vote against their issues or their interests. We don't know why totally. We do know that it usually goes to an emotional issue, and for people who define it, sometimes it's a cultural issue. You know, the cultural wars are very powerful because we know in the red states, there's a higher level of out-of-wed pregnancies in red states versus blue states. How is that possible if they're red states?
The moral value. Why? What are you saying? Is that a moral value issue?
No, well, it's not. But if you said just family values, you would think that you'd have less out-of-wedlock pregnancies in red states. But that's not the numbers. So sometimes the issue of people responding to a political issue is not rational. Now, I don't mean rational in the sense you're brighter or whatever. It's just that logical.
Well, logic goes out the window. And
Out the window.
What we talk about
all the time.
Because it's what they listen to.
Exactly. So
if you listen to the Fox News, if you listen to Russ and Sean, these super millionaires, Russ getting $40 million a year, telling this poor guy how he should live, while you got on your own plane.
Well, you know what?
So they're not living, but this is all you hear.
Right.
When the right controls 93% of the radio, what comes in the radio. On talk radio, political issues.
Right.
If that's all they heard, because there's no other balance in their area,
right,
they believe what they hear.
It's very hard. Media is very powerful. That's why we know that, on the spot tries to clarify things, educates, analyzes.
My friend Nicky is very important.
Well, I know he
keeps talking about, well, are they going to mess with our pensions?
Good point.
Is Bloomberg going to mess with our pensions? Well, if that's such an issue, why do you keep voting for these people if this is an issue?
Very powerful. They, when do they make the transition to vote for their
self-interest?
Self-interest.
And that's not happening.
That's not happening. Well, this very difficult economy has probably dragged individuals kicking and screaming to start to deal with what's going on. Someone said recently, people are becoming more aware politically. And it's maybe not because they just want to.
So.
Well,
No, I take it back. I take it back. In some of these key states, maybe not in our community, because we've had rallies, and it's sad to say I don't see the numbers from the people of color that I'm expecting.
Right.
And I don't feel in our community that our people are being politically aware of anything. They're not coming out like they should, and they're not paying attention. But in other communities, they're realizing what affects them, that they can't afford to retire.
Right.
That's the problem. They can't afford to retire. Their expectations of how they planned on living is not happening anymore.
Well, look, their 401k was reduced to 101k.
Oh, yes.
So you know what? That's powerful.
We're going to end this out. Cell phones is ringing.
Oh, so they're telling us we got to stop.
We got to stop.
We got deep.
We're going to end this out.
But we're coming back soon.
We will be back.
That's right. On the spot.
Norman Graham, Stephen Thompson. On the spot. We're out.
There we go.